we're doing new things that have never been done before. Cytophage is a company that focuses on using and developing bacteriophage therapies for bacterial problems. My name is Dr. Stephen Theriault. I am the CEO and the CSO of Cytophage Technologies. One of the biggest problems that we currently have is antimicrobial resistance, or multi-drug resistant bacteria. And those bacteria are not only coming from our hospitals, but they're actually coming from our food. And the reason for that is for the last, couple of decades, we've been pumping our animals full of antibiotics. About 70% of all of our antibiotics that we create are used in the animal industry. So when we're using that many antibiotics, what we're doing is we're creating superbugs that will actually infect human populations. Bacteriophage are one of the best solutions that we have for moving away from antibiotics, because bacteriophage specifically kills the bacterium itself as opposed to antibiotics. They're all over the place. They're everywhere. They're on your body, they're on the ground, they're inside the soil. It kind of looks like a lunar lander. When it lands on the bacteria, it pushes a spike through the bacteria membrane, and then it releases its genetic information into that bacterial cell. It starts to replicate itself until it gets so big that it bursts out of the bacteria. So one phage infecting a bacteria will produce a lot more of itself in order to go and kill more bacteria. It's one of the best killing machines that nature has actually produced. The key behind this company is that we're taking the synthetic approach. This allows us to take a natural phage, which we wouldn't normally be able to use, and we can genetically modify it to actually be a useful phage to do what we want them to do. This is where the magic is starting to happen with bacteriophage now. I was cutting my dog's hair, and I slid my foot on the scissors. You can tell it was going to get infected. So I made a decision there to try therapies, so bacteriophage therapies. Walked into the lab, took a vial of phage, and I would apply it twice a day. It totally removed any infection at all, and it actually healed a lot quicker than normal. When you're working on something and really wondering if it actually works as well as you think it is, and then you try it on yourself and it does, it sort of gives you that confirmation. When we use bacteriophage for treatment in the animal industry, we get two advantages from it. First off, they're non-toxic. We do not get any cross antibiotic resistance or any type of superbug development. The second part is that we actually treat animals in sort of a more natural way. The Canadian government's extremely excited to get bacteriophage to be a science of Canada. They want to be the first government to approve a bacteriophage for treatment. That will be our product. My neighbor was a chicken farmer, and we sort of had a discussion about the government removing the use of antibiotics as a prophylactic, leaving the chicken farmers with no product that they can use to ensure that their flocks don't get infected. I said, well, I create bacteriophages which kill bacterial problems, and they're not antibiotics.
There's a real push on now what we call RWA, which is raised without antibiotics.
When you get bacterial colonization and infections inside of a barn, it can wipe out that entire crop. If I put E. coli in here, within 7 days this entire barn would be empty. There'd be no live chickens left. You see how the birds are drinking out of the nipples? The way that we're using bacteriophage as a solution, we would put that bacteriophage in the water system, and when the chickens actually drink, they actually bring in the bacteriophage while they're drinking, which then protects their guts from salmonella and E. coli infections. It's a process that gives them a natural method to keep salmonella and E. coli at really, really low levels, if not non-existent. From there, you end up with a salmonella-free chicken with no antibiotics and no problems with anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a real game changer.
Because we can create bacteriophage to any bacterial infection, this is a marketplace within the industry that we could actually be a leader. Once we have that first path forward, we can do it for all of our other phages. We have a heavily funded project for Streptococcus suis, a disease in swine, that is being funded by the provincial Manitoba government. We have Clostridium products, we have E. coli products, we have Salmonella product. We also want to get into mastitis. This is basically the top bacterial problems that we have in our agricultural industry right now. What we can do for humans, to me, is going to be the shining gem of Cytophage. Bacteriophage gives physicians another strategy that they can use for treatment. What we've done is we've created actually a coronavirus therapy, and the way that we did that is we created a bacteriophage which is presenting the spike protein on the surface of its head. Our theory is that we would get a lot of antibody production being produced, and what that antibody does actually is it stops viruses from getting in and infecting you. We're actually not going to vaccinate you, we're going to stop the infection from getting to you. That's another principle and another therapy that we can use that opens up the phage market not only for bacteria, but also for viral infections. You know, you always have this, every scientist does. You want to be part of something big that makes a difference in the world. At Cytophage, we've developed a great synthetic biology team. Synthetic biology and genetics is the next science of humans. We're going to be using this now for the next couple of decades to get really good at controlling infections. That's what the fascinating thing about bacteriophage research is to me, is that it's basically an open door to create solutions to problems by using what Mother Nature already gave us.